Hello students, welcome to lecture 9 on unit 5 electrochemistry. In this lecture we have come to an end of this unit 5. In the previous lecture we had studied about the electrolysis and its mechanism and different terms used in electrolysis. In this lecture we are going to start with applications of electrochemistry. The important applications of electrolysis are electroplating, and second application is electrorefining that we are going to study in this chapter. Now, what is electroplating? It is the process of producing metallic coating of more resistant metals like silver, gold, nickel, chromium, etc. on the base metal with the help of electric current is called as electroplating. The purpose of electroplating is to achieve the following objectives like decoration, protection from corrosion, repairing of broken or worn out parts of machinery, for making plastic surface conducting, and to improve surface hardness of the metal. So to attain these objectives, electroplating can be done on the surface of the base metal. Under this electroplating, we are going to study electroplating of an iron spoon with the silver. This is a diagram of electroplating. The principle of electroplating is an active coating metal as anode deposits on the cathodic article in the electrolytic cell with the help of electric current. Example, electroplating with silver. The electrolytic bath used for electroplating with silver is shown in this diagram. So this is a electrolytic bath containing electrolyte as potassium argentocyanide. There is one pure silver bar electrode which is made as anode, and the article which is to be electroplated here in this case an iron spoon is made to act as cathode. So when and here is the source of electric current, that is battery. The cathode and anode are connected to the positive and negative terminal of the battery with an insulating wires. Silver bar is connected to the positive terminal which acts as anode, and iron spoon is connected to the negative terminal of the battery which acts as cathode. So, and the electrolyte that is potassium argentocyanide containing silver ions. Let's learn more about electroplating with silver. As I have already explained, the principle is an active coating metal acts as anode, that is silver bar, which deposits on cathode, that is the article which is to be plated with the help of electric current. Electrolyte taken for electroplating with silver is potassium argentocyanide, KAgCN twice. Silver nitrate cannot be used as electrolyte since the deposition of silver is rapid and coating is not uniform. Therefore, potassium argentocyanide, which slowly dissociates and releases silver ions into the solution, is used as the electrolyte. Cathode is the article to be plated in the previous diagram. An iron spoon is made to act as cathode. Anode is a plate or block of pure silver metal which act as anode. Procedure: on passing the electric current at the applied voltage, the article gets plated with the smooth and brighter deposit of silver. The chemical reactions that take place: first, potassium argentocyanide dissociates into K plus and argentocyanide ion, which further dissociate as silver ions, that is Ag plus, and cyanide ions. So there is a slow liberation of silver ions from the dissociation of this potassium argentocyanide, and the reaction that take place at cathode and anode. At cathode, the positively charged silver ions migrate towards the cathode and are discharged as metallic silver atoms, which is deposited in the form of silver atoms deposited at the cathode. A thin film of silver gets deposited on the article which is to be plated, that is on the silver iron spoon gets coated due to the deposition of silver atoms. At anode, the silver atoms at the anode lose electrons and become ions which enter into the solution. So there is a loss of electrons from silver bar which acts as anode. So it releases silver ions into the solution, and these silver ions, they move towards the cathode and accept the electrons, undergo reduction and get deposited at the cathode. Net result of electroplating is silver ions from the anode and solution migrate to the cathode and get deposited at the cathode as thin coating. Silver anode gets slowly dissolved in the solution due to the liberation of silver ions. The more active K plus and H plus ions remain in the solution as they require very high voltage for their discharge. That is, at the applied voltage, only silver ions can move towards the cathode and get reduced at the cathode and forms a uniform thin coating over the article which is to be plated. These are the examples shown here, which are electroplated articles like gold plated watch. The dial of the watch is coated with gold. Copper plated mug, which makes it more lucrative or decorative. Silver plated teapot, silver coated goblet, chrome electroplated taps. There are various articles that are available in the market which are electroplated articles. So that's the application of electrolysis. Here is the second application of electrolysis, that is electrorefining. Electrorefining is a process in which pure metal can be obtained from impure metal by the method of electrolysis. Principle of electrorefining: an impure metal acts as an anode that dissolves and gets deposited at the cathode by passing the electric current. Under electrorefining, we are going to study the example electrorefining of impure copper. Okay. Copper is purified by the process called as electrorefining because it is the process to obtain the pure metal from the impure metal by making use of electrolysis process. The electrolyte that is used in electrorefining of impure copper is the solution, aqueous solution of copper sulfate, that is 10% copper sulfate, which is acidified with 1% sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid is added to improve the conductivity of the electrolyte. Cathode is the thin plate of pure copper, and anode is made as impure copper bars. Here is the diagram showing electrorefining of copper. In a beaker, aqueous copper sulfate solution is taken as the electrolyte, which is acidified with 1% sulfuric acid to increase the electrical conductivity. Anode is taken as thick block of impure copper, and cathode is pure copper metal in the form of thin sheet. These electrodes are connected to the positive and negative terminals of the battery. Anode is positive and cathode is negative. On passing the electric current, cations from the anode coming into the solution, they travel towards cathode and undergo reduction reaction and get deposited in the form of pure metal at the cathode, and the anode continues to dissolve in the solution. Thus, the anode goes on decreasing in size, and the impurities that are present in this impure anode, they fall below the anode, which is known as anode mud. This impure copper or blister copper contains the impurities like zinc, arsenic, iron, sulfur, etc. And for copper, which is to be used as a conductor, it is required to be 100% pure. So electro-refined copper obtained by this process is almost 99.99% pure. You can see in this diagram, the size of anode goes on decreasing, and the thickness of the pure copper plate, which is in contact with the electrolyte, goes on increasing. You can compare the thickness of these two parts of the same plate. So that is how the electro-refining of copper is obtained. As I have already explained this, reaction at anode, cathode, that is reduction reaction, copper ions from the solution gain the electrons and get deposited in the form of copper atoms at the cathode. At anode, the impure copper bar continues to dissolve. It continuously passes the copper ions in the solution by the loss of electrons. And that copper, which is obtained by electro-refining process, is almost 99.99% pure, which is used as conductor. This is a industrial process carried out at a large scale, that is electro-refining plant of copper. There are several setup, a big setup is required for this high scale electro-refining plant for the copper purification. The quantitative aspects of experimental electrolysis was summarized by the scientist Faraday in the year 1834 in the two statements which are now known as Faraday's laws of electrolysis. Before studying the Faraday's law of electrolysis, let us learn the terms Coulomb. Coulomb is the quantity of electricity that passes through the circuit when a current of 1 ampere strength is passed through the circuit for 1 second. So Coulomb is the product of current and time. That is, Coulomb, 1 Coulomb is equal to 1 ampere into 1 second. Ampere, it is the unit of current which when passing through a circuit for 1 second liberates 0.00118 grams of silver or 0.0000104 grams of hydrogen. Faraday, it is the quantity of electricity required to liberate or deposit 1 gram equivalent of a substance from its solution. And there is a relation between Faraday and Coulomb. 1 Faraday is equal to 96,500 Coulomb. Let us learn Faraday's first law of electrolysis. According to first law, it states that the weight of the substance deposited or liberated at an electrode during electrolysis is directly proportional to the quantity of electricity passed through the electrolyte. So this is a electrolysis setup shown here. Here is the deposition of aluminium. The weight of this deposited substance is directly proportional to the quantity of electricity passed through this electrolyte. So accordingly, we get the equation W is equal to ZIT. W is the weight of the substance deposited at an electrode. Z is called as electrochemical equivalent and I is the current in amperes. T is the time in seconds. Here is the statement of Faraday's first law. The weight of the substance deposited or liberated at any electrode is directly proportional to the quantity of electricity passed through the electrolyte. So according to the statement, if W grams is the substance deposited by passing Q coulombs of electricity, then we get W is proportional to Q, or W is equal to Z into Q. Here, Z is a constant of proportionality and is called electrochemical equivalent of a substance deposited. If current of I ampere is passed for T seconds, then Q is equal to current into time, that is I into T. So we can write here in this equation as W is equal to Z into Q, which is equal to Z into I into Q, as Q is equal to I into T. If Q is 1 coulomb and I is 1 ampere and T is equal to 1 second, then we get W is equal to Z from this equation. Hence, electrochemical equivalent of a substance may be defined as the mass of the substance deposited when a current of 1 ampere is passed for 1 second. Now, let's learn Faraday's second law. Here in this diagram, there are three electrolytes: copper sulfate, silver nitrate, and nickel chloride. All these three electrolytic cells, they are connected in series. That is, in series means the same current flows through all the three electrolytes. Now, when such is the case, then what the Faraday's second law states? When the same quantity of electricity passes through solutions of different electrolytes, the amounts of substances liberated at the electrodes are directly proportional to their chemical equivalents. So according to Faraday's second law, amount of the substances liberated at the electrodes is directly proportional to their chemical equivalents. So if W1, W2, E1 and E2 are the chemical equivalents, W1 and W2 are the weights of the substances deposited at the electrodes, then according to Faraday's second law, we get W1 upon W2 is equal to E1 upon E2, or Z1 IT upon Z2 IT is equal to E1 upon ET. Or simply, since the current passing through the electrolytes is same, we can modify this as Z1 upon Z2 is equal to E1 upon E2. So that is the Faraday's second law of electrolysis. Relation between chemical equivalent and electrochemical equivalent. Equivalent weight of a substance is 96,500 times the electrochemical equivalent. Chemical equivalent is equal to 96,500 into electrochemical equivalent, where C is the chemical equivalent and ECE is the electrochemical equivalent. So this is the equation between CE and ECE, which is useful for the calculations or solving the problems. Yes, we have already studied the electrochemical cells and electrolytic cells in details. Now let us just revise the difference between electrochemical and electrolytic cell. Electrochemical cell, it converts chemical energy into electrical energy. Under electrolytic cell, it converts electrical energy into chemical energy. It is based upon the redox reactions which are spontaneous. The redox reaction in electrolytic cells are non-spontaneous and take place only when energy is supplied. Only when the current is passed through the solution, then only the non-spontaneous redox reaction occur. The chemical changes occurring in the two beakers are different, whereas under electrolytic cell, only one chemical compound undergoes decomposition, which is nothing but the electrolyte used in the electrolytic cell undergoes decomposition and liberates the substances at the different electrodes. In electrochemical cell, anode is negative at which oxidation takes place and cathode is positive at which reduction takes place. In electrolytic cell, anode is positive where oxidation takes place and cathode is negative where reduction reaction takes place. Now let's classify electrochemical cells. They are basically classified into primary and secondary cells. What are cells? Cells are the devices that add electrical potential energy to charges moving through them, that is, they add voltage or EMF. They do this using chemical reactions in the cell. There are two types of cell, primary cell and secondary cell. Primary cells are non-rechargeable. Once the cell gives up all its energy, the chemicals cannot react again. The example, the batteries which we used in remote controls, okay, zinc carbon cells or anything that is non-rechargeable are called as primary cells. Secondary cells are rechargeable. Once the cell gives up all its energy, the chemical reaction that causes it to lose energy can be reversed by a charger, giving it more energy to use in the circuit. Example, zinc carbon rechargeable cells, car batteries, etc. Let's specifically differentiate between the primary and secondary batteries. Cell reaction in primary is irreversible, that is why they are non-rechargeable. Cell reactions that take place in secondary batteries is reversible and hence it can be recharged. Primary cells must be discarded after one single use, and whereas secondary batteries can be recharged. They have relatively short life. Primary cells have short life, secondary cells have long shelf life. They cannot be used as storage devices, whereas these secondary batteries can be used as energy storage devices. Primary cells cannot be recharged, secondary cells can be recharged. Example of primary cell, most common example is dry cell, which we use in our TV remotes, etc. Secondary cells, example lithium manganese dioxide battery, lead acid storage battery, nickel cadmium batteries that is used in mobiles are rechargeable one. The practical application and the most common example of an electrochemical or galvanic cell is Daniell cell. The EMF of this Daniell cell is 1.1 volt. What is EMF? The difference of potential which causes a current to flow from the electrode of higher potential to one of the lower potential is called the electromotive force, that is EMF of the cell. This is a Daniell cell which consists of a zinc electrode dipping in zinc sulfate solution and copper electrode immersed in copper sulfate solution. This one single like setup is called as a half cell, and the another electrode immersed in its solution is called as other half cell, and the two half cells are connected to each other by means of this salt bridge, okay, which allows the flow of ions, and the two electrodes are connected to the voltmeter, okay, by means of electrical insulating wires. So each electrode may be regarded as the half cells. In Daniell cell, the cell reactions that take place are at anode. Now here zinc acts as anode and copper electrode acts as cathode. Zinc undergoes oxidation and cathode undergoes reduction reaction. So oxidation half reaction takes place at the zinc anode. Zinc dissolves into the solution as Zn2 plus ions and leaving behind electrons on the zinc electrode. Whereas at the cathode, reduction half reaction takes place, at which the copper ions present in the solution, they accept the electrons from the copper cathode and get deposited in the form of copper atoms at the cathode. So the net overall reaction for Daniell cell we can write as Zn solid plus copper 2 plus ions from the aqueous solution gives Zn2 plus ions in aqueous solution plus copper solid atoms, that is neutral copper atoms, gets deposited at the copper cathode. And the EMF of this Daniell cell due to these reactions is 1.1 volt. So here we end up with this chapter. Well, my dear students, here we have completed Unit 5. Thank you so much.